Hello everybody, once again, here I am, the Gunslinger, and I have yet another replay for you, and I'm going to get some good analysis on a good old PvZ matchup. Now you'll see another person that I've been reviewing some replays recently, orlyOWL. He will be in the left-hand position on Antigua Shipyards, and in the bottom position we have the red Protoss, and that is JGreen. Now I was told this one's a pretty interesting game, so I'm looking forward to see what not only the Protoss opponent does, but definitely what the Zerg opponent does, as this is a pretty interesting matchup. A lot of times you'll see maybe speedling expansions, see a combination of Zerglings and Hydras, maybe even some Banelings. It's really very versatile, and hopefully, typically you see the 3-gate robotics being a popular build against Zerg if you're playing as Protoss, and so that will allow us to kind of see whether one strategy is favorable and how it was delivered. Also, some of the minor mechanics that can help you become a better player. A lot of things that some people don't realize is when you're scouting, a big thing to look at is whether or not your opponent is mining gas, how many workers they have, and where their buildings are. So, when orlyOWL is going to go ahead and move up and scout, he's going to get walled off, which is interesting. You may actually see, so he does know that gates are on the way. Now I don't know if orlyOWL has seen this before, but a lot of times this gateway will then be cancelled and turned into a cybernetics core. It's a pretty good move against higher level players. Meanwhile, one gas is being made as well as the spawning pool, so you may see some kind of speedling expand, starting with the mining of the gas, and as soon as the spawning pool is complete and he gets a queen, he can go for that speed upgrade right off the bat. It does seem though JGreen is going to go for the 2 gates. So not exactly what I would be looking for. This 2-gate pressure from the beginning isn't the best against Zerg, as all he has to do is unleash a nice amount of Zerglings, and he can take care of this. Now he's even going to try and gas steal here just to defend his scout as long as he can, but that's not a very good idea. He's going to lose that worker, but now there are 3 zealots that are on the way, so he needs to build a spine crawler and defend himself here. Sure enough, it seems like that's what he's going to do, as well as build a roach warren, so that will be very effective. He will be able to defend himself pretty well against those early zealots when they decide to come into his base. But instead it seems like JGreen is going to hold back. He needs to be aggressive right now. He has the timing. Nothing is really out. However, there are a decent amount of Zerglings. I'm going to take a look. It seems like there are 6 that had spawned in. Now the roach warren's almost complete, but he's not going to be able to get too much with only 1 worker getting gas. That's something that he needs to check out. He needs to get more people working for the gas so that he can afford those roaches. He will be able to get 1 batch, but after that, there will not be that much that he can do. Now here come the zealots. They are going to move into the base. How will orlyOWL defend himself? Zerglings are going to move. No, he needs to move these back. He does have more defenses near his mineral line, so he's going to move them over. Zealots will start taking a couple hits. orlyOWL is going to go for a couple of roaches, but these zealots are probably going to destroy this roach warren. There's not too much that he can do about that. That spine crawler is going to be able to do some damage. The queen can attack with some hits. Oh wow, orlyOWL is doing a very bad job of letting those Zerglings go home. He's got a couple of these roaches, but they will not last that long. He needs to micro them just right. He needs to focus on these weakened zealots. The queen is going to try and get in there. Is there another roach that's able to do damage? It does seem like this queen will be able to destroy these zealots, and this roach can out-micro. Meanwhile, the Zerglings are going to go in. Will they be able to destroy this pylon? I've actually had a very similar game like this when I was deciding to play Zerg, where I just had trouble getting that pylon due to the fact that this is a complete wall-off. Now, it seems here that JGreen is going to move back with his zealot. He's not going to be able to do too much. Something interesting to look at is that there were no workers killed from any of that. It seems like... Oh, now there is a cannon down. And JGreen will destroy all of these Zerglings. They will not do enough, but he decided to take out the gateway. So now he can get a run by and he can go ahead and attack some of these workers, but all the workers are being called off. That is actually completely delaying his mining. Some incredible harassment. He's going to continue to pull all of them off of the mine. If he can work in some roaches here, he can do so much damage. There is no mining being done right now. So that allows him to get even more ahead. Now at this point, I highly advise orlyOWL to drone up at this point, as he has the money to do so. He should expand, which he is. That's good, but he needs to be droning up right now. He needs to be building drones, and there he goes. He is going to build drones. That's so good for him right now. However, these roaches are going to move in, try and take out this gateway as it's starting to warp in. He doesn't have warp gate yet, and JGreen also doesn't have any units coming from his gateway, so he needs to be very careful. And it's cool that orlyOWL has learned that he can just stay out of range for that gateway. Now, JGreen's going to go for a starport, so we may see some Void Rays. They can be a very good late game, or mid-game, late-game unit against Zerg, but if he has gone for lair, he should go for a Spire. This should actually have been a next move anyways. He has gone for, he hasn't got a speed upgrade, but he's going for this lair. He has 2 bases. He could go for Hydras or Mutas. Either way, both of those would be great. Hydras are actually really good against Void Rays, especially seeing as how slow they are to get them for JGreen when he gets them from the starports, even if he chrono boosts them. Now, he is going to go for the speed upgrade. A little late for that, seeing as how Zerglings might not be the most viable unit right now, but if he's going to continue to use them throughout the game, it's good that he's getting the upgrade. He's also going for a 3rd base, so he may be going for something along the lines of Mutalisks or Hydras, but he may also need gas in these other positions. So it seems like orlyOWL is going to go for an Evo Chamber, and he's not microing his roaches. They'll get destroyed by these cannons, as so much is being invested in the defense of JGreen's base. He needs to be careful. He's too busy worrying about macroing up his own army that he lost a lot of his units. And when you think about it, even though he's, well, it seems like orlyOWL has actually lost more units. He's now down to only 1 roach, and he was just not doing the right thing there and keeping his units in the cannon fire, not paying attention to where his army was at. Now the next step is, he is going to build, he actually changed, he's no longer going for the southern expansion. He's going to go for the gold expo, because there is only one base. That's pretty much a good idea. Seizing a 3rd expansion is great, but he needs to be careful. He needs to get something back there to scout. He could create an Overseer, because I know he has an Overlord nearby, but these Void Rays going to do some serious damage. He doesn't have anything to defend himself, so a good unit is, you always want those either Mutas or Hydras, especially once you go for the lair. You have the gas for it, you have the money for it. That's usually what I like to see. Hydras are very good against Void Rays, especially seeing as how the natural Zerg mechanic is that you can get multiple units at once. These Void Rays are going to move around. He's going to try and move it just into the back of his base so he can do some serious damage. No Spore Crawlers either, and all these Overlords are waiting. So once these Void Rays are able to charge up on this extractor, he will be at full charge almost, and he can destroy everything slowly over time. Canceling buildings, deciding this is a job for the Queens and a Spore Crawler. Very good idea. But he needs to come up. Yes, he is going to go for a Hydralisk Den and a Baneling Nest. I think he should probably cancel the Baneling Nest and go for full on with the Hydralisks. Now the Queens are being really passive because of that charge up, and he does get an Overseer, but he should have moved his workers back as well to defend them. Instead, he's just going to hope his Queens are able to do enough damage against this. He should back it up, as it is now going to get destroyed. Now, there are 2 more Void Rays that are actually harassing his Hydralisk Den, so that allows that to be destroyed. That's very unfortunate. Now, basically, he is going to bring in 9 Hydras, so he did manage to build them just in the nick of time, and he ran his Overlords away. This spells so much disaster. These Void Rays are able to do so much damage, but orlyOWL does have his gold expansion, and he is going to get the drones there. Now there are a lot of Hydras, so he will be able to tear through these guys. Instead of being a reactionary tactic, orlyOWL needed to bring these out sooner. Now he's in serious danger. He's mining from his gold expansion, but he just doesn't have enough to expand just now. He's got one drone waiting to do such a thing. Now looking at JGreen's JGreen's next build, he is gonna, or part of his build, he's gonna go for a Twilight Council, and he is getting a couple gates. However, he doesn't have an expansion, so this is still a prime time to attack. There are 2 roaches that are hiding here. At this point, if he goes ahead and rebuilds his expansion, which he probably should, any minute, or maybe rebuild his Hydralisk Den, something needs to be rebuilt, he is going to go ahead and rebuild his hatchery. Continuing to drone up would be very advisable. There is damage going on in the middle. It seems like a roach is trying to out micro a zealot, which he can. He can kite the zealot if he does it properly. It's just frustrating when the zealot doesn't look like he's taking any damage. But yes, now the micro is going pretty well for orlyOWL, and he does destroy him. Now, he is doing a decent job of spreading his creep, but he needs to continue to move these creep tumors and get more vision. That will allow the attack from the Void Rays to be less effective, as he can scout them early. Now, he still hasn't scouted his base. That's something that he needs to do. A lot of times, if you are denied that early scout, once you get an Overseer, you can go ahead and drop in a Changeling. Very effective, especially since right now orlyOWL, or JGreen rather, does not have any pylons around his base. Now, a distant expansion from orlyOWL is being made. Very risky to put that there. He needs to continually drone up, and he just isn't really doing that when he should. He also should be building a couple queens. Now, since he lost his lair, he's going to go ahead and build another, so he can build the Hydralisk Den. I forgot that. That's also very important also. But he's building another spawning pool, and I don't know why that is. There's no reason for a second spawning pool. So that's very foolish. I wonder if he noticed that right off the bat. Now JGreen's going to go for charge. And if he's going to go for heavy zealots, that's a very good move to make. Now, there are a lot of Void Rays again. At this point, it seems like JGreen could go ahead and win this. That Void Ray harassment was so successful. At this point, unless there are Hydras on the field, there is nothing that orlyOWL can do. If you're having trouble with Void Rays, it should actually be a normal build for you to go into Hydralisks. They do handle Stalkers very well. Stalkers do outrange roaches, but they are easily beaten. They cannot also deal with mutas really fast, but Hydras are very effective. They can keep an enemy at bay, and if you do get the upgrades, they are very powerful. However, these zealots will move forward. The Void Rays will destroy the queen, and the zealots will be able to do some serious damage against these Hydras. He is going to be able to out-micro the zealots. He needs to be careful, be distant, because they do have charge. However, he needs to move in and take out one of these Void Rays. Instead, not focusing on the Void Rays, focusing on the zealots. Just letting him get away with too much. He does do a good job of expanding. But if we look at the income tab, well, now it doesn't really matter. Are you still on one base? Oh, it's terrible. It's actually true because he is only on one base. Seeing as how he is still on one base, that is GG. He tried to ask him a friendly little question there, but those Void Rays did so much damage. Now, what's strange is that I think he asked before in another game if he is still on one base. And yes he is. That's something to be afraid of. In fact, that's something that's scouting so crucial. You do see it now. orlyOWL did skirt his Overlord over. He saw the 2 starports. Too little, too late. That would be a good indicator to go into mutas, especially once you saw them if you had scouted. He had the roaches back here the whole time, noticing that yes, he was only on one base. So the major reasons for victory, or major reasons for defeat rather, orlyOWL did not scout at all. He was blocked off at the start with a wall off, but something as easy as an Overlord over the map, especially with early zealots, he would have been fine. It was close positions. or at least they were both in the southern part of the map, so they could have seen each other. I do like how much he expanded. However, when his opponent went Void Rays, JGreen did a good job of going for Void Rays, as there was nothing for orlyOWL to go against. So I do commend him for his good harassment. However, he did get lucky that it wasn't scouted early and that it wasn't defended properly. The Spore Crawlers did a good job. The Queens as well. But I think if he had incorporated against Protoss, if he incorporated Hydralisks into his build earlier, air units wouldn't be as viable, so it would allow him to go into a larger macro game. So those are the things I learned. Hopefully you learned a couple things as well. I hope you also enjoyed this replay and this cast. I know I did. I will see you guys next time. You have a wonderful day and keep on playing.